And now I do the thing.
Illustrations by me.
So I went and I took these and from the last video, and I always put this little paper towel in there. If these stay wet and you're traveling, you put a little paper towel in there. It just absorbs any extra moisture. They dry up pretty quick, but if you don't have time for that, put the paper towel in there. It'll dry it up pretty quick. So I went ahead and I swatched this out, which has all the colors on it, and stuck it in. I always do that in the tin. And then I used it and I did a little thing. Now I wanted just to see if I could do something small. So I did a little line and wash. But what I'm going to do in this video is put a drawing, an abstract drawing off of this that kind of covers the page. I didn't do it in the video. I didn't do that because I was just sitting on my couch and I figured, let me see if I can just use this a little bit. This is the Stillman and Burns Zeta series, so it's not 100% cotton watercolor paper. It's not something that I'm going to put layer after layer on. You'll see it's just going to be kind of a line and wash like I usually do, an abstract with some detail in it. I think the paper will handle it just fine. But I didn't use any bright colors in this, so I'm going to start to use some bright colors as I go into this new drawing and see how that goes. We'll see what happens. As a side note, I'm a little disappointed that there were no dark colors in here. So instead I took the burnt umber with the cobalt blue, and that's how I got my darker colors, my gray colors. But they're not very dark. They're not very deep and dark. So I wish they would have included like a Payne's Gray in this set or something like that. But this is the pure pigment set. So it has to be a single color. They're not going to use a Payne's Gray. At least give me some kind of dark in there. Just a black or something in there to make a darker color so that I can mix a gray and then add some black to it and make it a little bit deeper. Or maybe just take a black and add a little bit of water to it and a little bit of color, maybe a little bit of blue or something like that, just to lighten it up a little bit, give it a little bit more natural color, and then put it in there. But they didn't do that. I was very disappointed about that. I love dark colors. Sometimes I just take a very, very dark blue and I just lighten that up a little bit. Just add a touch of brown to it just to give it a little something. But it's okay. Everything is fine. It worked out just fine. I was able to do what I wanted to do. I just wish that it would have been in there, that's all. Alright, that's enough of my complaining, let's get into it. So, normally, I just want to say that I would not have used these bright colors on this kind of a painting. As you can see, when I did the actual line and wash, I did it very muted down, very, just kind of washed out a little bit and not very hyped up with the contrast. I was going to plan on doing that with the ink later on anyway. But I decided, let me wait till I do the watercolor and then I'll add some extra ink in. But anyway, I would have not picked the colors that I picked. Every color that I picked and used would be kind of an offshoot from the colors that I did use. And I'll have to show you one of these because I enjoy doing these. And this is something I recently figured out that I like to do. But I like to do this little line and wash like a realistic, not a realistic, it looks like a cartoon. But it's a line and wash drawing and then do something abstract off of it. And that's basically what I was doing here, but I used very vibrant colors because I wanted to show you that. Now, the one thing I will say is that the Stillman and Burns Zeta series, sometimes people say you don't get the brightness of the color of the paint off on that kind of paper, but I didn't find that. I found that the vibrancy that I could bring to the paint on that paper was just fine. It looked just like I was using the other watercolor paint. It's just that it's a smooth surface, so it's like a hot pressed paper. So it's very smooth, and you don't see a lot of texture, and things don't move around. It's different. So then you paint a little different because you don't want like back blooms and all that kind of stuff. So you just don't worry, everything looks fine. The colors were nice and vibrant. I had exactly what I expected to get onto that page, so it showed up on the page. But overall, I think these are wonderful paints. These will rival anything. If you use any basic set of paint, if you use like a Da Vinci or you use a Winsor & Newton or you use a Daniel Smith or you use anything like that, or a Schmink or something like that, I'm saying these paints are just as vibrant, they're just as beautiful. They have a little bit of weird color names and choices and the pigments and things, but that's fine. That's to be expected. Every company does that. Every company will have something different about them. But there was even some good movement in the water when you just had like you put some water down and kind of disperse them in. Even that was good. So they are 100% professional quality paints. I have no problem with them. They are wonderful. I will use this palette again in the future. It's an absolutely wonderful palette. Notice I did tear off that extra flap that was on there because it was obnoxious. I kept trying to open it, and then when I went to close it, it wouldn't close right because I had opened it too much and bent it the other way, and I just took the pin out and slapped it off. It's not a big deal. Sometimes you get a tin that does that. It was just it was messed up, and they didn't catch it when it went out the door. So it's fine. It's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with the paints. It was just the tin it was in, and it doesn't matter. I don't mind a smaller tin anyway. I never use both sides of that anyway. Usually in the side that I'm mixing, that you see me mixing now, I have the color swatches in there. And then I just go ahead and on the other side is where I actually mix the paint. But in this case, it doesn't matter. I'll just take the color swatch card out and then I'll just use that to mix. And there's a lot more room in that side anyway. It's fine. I have no problem with it. Everything worked out wonderfully. The paints act just like you would expect good quality watercolor paint to act, and that's all you can really ask of them. They're highly pigmented, they're very bright and vibrant, they work wonderfully, they layer great. And usually on this paper I don't layer a whole lot, but a couple of times here I did put a little bit of extra layer on it just to see what it would do. It layers perfectly fine. Everything is wonderful. Okay, now what I do have, let me just see here. So what I have here is I didn't really have anything else planned to talk about in this section of the video. I have nothing else to really say about them. They're good. So I don't want to keep repeating that over and over again. So I went online and I looked up random things to talk about. And that's actually what I looked up, random things to talk about. And some things came up. In this case, you know, people, you got to ask me some more questions that I can answer in video, and I need to do that. But if you don't do that, that's okay. I'll just go over here and see what else I can talk about and see how boring I can make this video. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to entertain you with some facts and ideas, but sometimes that doesn't work out. It doesn't always work in my favor. Now, a lot of these questions are dumb. This is like 98 different random conversation starters. It's like something you'd get in an elementary school. Like, what's your favorite TV show? What's your favorite movie? Like, that kind of crap. But I'm going to start with answering some of it anyway, just because I just want to talk. And some of you just put the video on. You don't even watch it. You just put the video on to listen to me jabber. Then you just do something else. You create your own art, and every once in a while you look up to see where I am in the video, but you're not even watching it, so it doesn't really matter that much. Anyway, while you're watching the video, if you choose to watch the video, I'll tell you something here. So when they say, what's your favorite TV show, I don't understand what the favorite thing is. I don't think I've ever in my life had a favorite TV show. I have a lot of TV shows that I've watched, but a favorite TV show? What am I, 12? Like, I don't understand that. Even when I was 12, I didn't have just a favorite TV show. So what's your favorite? I like shows in general. I guess usually comedies. Before I go to sleep at night, I like to put a comedy on. Something that's a funny show. Like, me and my wife both enjoy watching like The Big Bang Theory, or, you know, when it was first on, I saw Everybody Loves Raymond, and it wasn't that funny, but now it's hysterical. I guess I just appreciate it a little bit more now. But then there's, you know, shows like Friends. We watched Friends when it was still on television in the 90s. Don't judge me, but I did, and so watching it, I've seen every episode like 560 times at least. I think every time it's on, it seems like it's on television, whatever. But anyway, so I like comedies, just something I can watch right before bed to lighten the mood. I don't like watching something intense and dramaful right before you go to sleep at night. It just doesn't help me sleep good at all. But I do like modern shows. Yeah, The Blacklist, I was very upset when that went off the air. I was very excited with that show. I loved that show. That was a wonderful show. But And I used to watch Criminal Minds a lot too, but that got a little weird. That it's too graphic sometimes. You can't watch too much of that. But like with the Chicago PD and Fire and Med, I like all those Chicago shows. And Law and Order's a little weird sometimes. Sometimes they go off the rails, and I don't like all the political nonsense that they try and cram in there, no matter what side they're trying to cram it in on. But the new one, I forgot what it's called now. It's like the criminal. I don't even know. Anyway, it's the new one with Elliot. He's back, and that's the one that I started to watch with my wife. We really like that one. We watched that one quite a bit. But favorite TV show? I don't understand that. We just whatever's on. When I was younger, I had different ones. Like I had like Family Matters and Full House, and I was I was an '80s '90s kid, so we watched all that TGIF stuff, the In Living Color, and Saturday Night Live, and all that. I used to love watching those shows. So it's all wonderful. Monty Python, I loved Monty Python's Flying Circus. My father and I used to watch Monty Python all the time. We would fall over laughing, just hysterical. But when I used to go with my friends to like a diner or something like that, sometimes I'd reenact one of those skits in the diner. It would be like late when nobody's really in there, and I'd pick up a bottle of ketchup and do like the Polly sketch, and don't worry about that. We had some fun. Let's move on from here. Oh, they have, what are you doing this weekend? Well, obviously, I'm talking to you. You already know what I'm doing this weekend. I'm making videos and talking to you. That's what I'm doing right now. What's your favorite food? I don't understand that question. I'm not a favorite person. Everything's a favorite. What's your favorite? Ask me in 30 seconds, it'll be different. But my favorite food, I like certain types of food. I grew up on Italian food. I mean, my whole family cooked Italian, so that's what I grew up on. We grew up on Long Island in New York, and yes, that is how you say that. You live in a state, but you grew up on the island. That's how it works. We just call it the island. So anyway, we had a lot of seafood, and that's some of my most fondest memories as a kid is my father and my uncles, and we would go to the beach, and we'd fish, or we'd go out on a boat and fish, or we'd go crabbing out on the pier, Blue Point Pier. We had a lot of fun just fishing and getting whatever. And it was a fun time. But then you get to go home and eat a feast afterwards. That's another part of the fun. We were like, it felt very primitive, very hunter-like. You go and you catch your food, and then you bring it home and eat it. I was never a hunter. I don't hunt. And my uncles do and things like that. But I never hunted. I was never a person who did that. So I think I only went camping like once or twice, and that was maybe in the backyard or something, or in a motor home or something. Never on just like a tent in the middle of the woods in the middle of nowhere. I've never done that before. But going and catching, your food and then bringing it home and preparing it and cooking it and eating it it's just rewarding to have that. So that seafood stuff I like the Italian stuff. I don't like some of the seafood I don't like. So I like clams, but I like them fried or baked. I don't like them raw. I did have a couple raw clams, not very good, and it's not healthy. But anyway, it's just not. It's too. I'm a texture person. I don't like the sliminess in my mouth. So no oysters, no mussels, none of that stuff. I do like the squid rings if they're cooked properly, and I love crab and shrimp and scallops and cooked scallops. And that kind of stuff, lobster and all that kind of stuff. I do enjoy that kind of stuff. I love that kind of food. I grew up on it, that's all. It's just I had a taste for it. I also had a taste for, that's expensive food, but not when you're catching it yourself. It's not expensive. You catch it yourself. But when, the other food that we had to eat, it was very budget food. So, the government cheese and, my meat came in a can, and my milk you had to mix with water and that kind of stuff. So, I had different tastes, but I never really had steak when I was growing up, so I never developed a taste for steak ever in my life. I still, today, I don't crave it. I can eat it. I like it when I eat a little piece of it, but I don't crave it. I don't enjoy eating a whole steak. Just like a little piece of meat's fine. I don't mind that. But it's just not something I crave. And just like, my wife's family they cook the meat and potatoes stuff, like the pot roasts and all that kind of stuff. I don't have a taste for any of that stuff. It's just not for me. I get it. Some people like that kind of stuff, and we eat it when she's craving it because that's what she grew up on. So, and she can go without the pasta completely. I don't think I could live without pasta. They'd have to. I understand it's not good for you, and so is everything else in your life. So I'm gonna have some pasta. Don't just leave me alone with that. Now this is taking a turn. Let's get off of the food thing. We gotta move on here. This is do you prefer tea or soda? What's with the food? Do you prefer tea or soda? That's not even like related. It's not like tea or coffee. Hey, do you prefer tea or coffee? That would have been a normal question. They're asking, do you prefer tea or soda? That's different. Personally, I prefer tea. I enjoy tea. I like the black tea, green tea, white tea. I don't segregate my teas. Rooibos tea, I really enjoy the red rooibos tea. That's really good. You get a little bit of vanilla in there. It's beautiful. But I like tea. I also like coffee, but I like tea. I'm not a big... I always have, when I record these videos, I always have a soda up here in my hand, but I used to have the coffee, but then it would keep me up all night. And then if you have the decaf coffee, it's just not the same anyway. So it tastes... Listen, if you get the exact same type of coffee, and one is decaf and one is regular, unless you're really sitting there and drink it black. If you drink black coffee, yes, you can tell the difference between the two. I don't drink black coffee. I have cream in mine. I don't need any sugar or anything like that, just a little bit of cream. And so, but you can't, all of a sudden, you can't tell the difference between those 2 cups of coffee very much, unless I don't drink coffee like 10 cups a day or anything like that. I have maybe 1 or 2 during the whole day. If I do at all, usually I don't, and I just have like a cup of tea or something. That's fine. I'm not one of those people that's addicted to the caffeine where you have to have it or you're going to kill somebody. I don't do any of that stuff. So, and a lot of people are like that. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that's not me. That's all. They have like, what's your favorite food on this list like 10 times. No wonder why they can have 98 of these. It's just, that's all they're asking. That and music and songs and it's all the same stuff. Who's your role model? That's a good one. Hey, we finally have a good one here. So who's your role model? I think I have so many different role models in my life. And I'm very blessed that way. I have so many people who are positive influences on my life. There's plenty that were bad too, but there was so many that were good. And I had great relationships with almost all of my family for a good part of my life. It's just, I mean, you have turns, you take turns, and sometimes you fall out with people and you start talking to them again later. And that happens to everybody. But really, it depends on what subject we're talking about. Like if I talk about art, who's my role model for art? Well, my mother introduced me to painting. Especially, we used to watch Bob Ross all the time together. We just watch it. We weren't painting with him. We were just watching it. It was just so interesting. And she would encourage me to paint. And my grandmother, who encouraged me to draw, and she loved to draw. So I think that's why it's natural that I do the same. I do them both here. I do the drawing with the painting, and maybe that affects me on a psychological level, and that's what I do. That's why I do it, maybe. I don't know. But I will say that I enjoy doing both of those things, and they were definitely role models in that. Just appreciating art and getting interested in it and kind of putting some energy into developing it and that kind of thing. It's just, maybe that's where that came from. And then you go to music. I have multiple uncles who played music. My mother played guitar when she was younger with one of my uncles, and then I had another uncle that played guitar. And as a matter of fact, I have a guitar. My first guitar is still hanging on my wall. It's an acoustic guitar. It was like one of those cheap $100 models. It was not an expensive guitar, but he bought it. He gave it to me. I have it, and I know that it's psychological. I know, but in my ear, the sound of an acoustic guitar is that guitar. Because I played it so much and I listened to it so much. It's my favorite sounding acoustic guitar. I've played other ones. I played Gibsons, and I played Ibanez, and I played Ovation and Breed Love and all these other high quality acoustic guitars, and I don't like any of them as much as I like this one. This is my favorite guitar. And I think the other thing is, because of how I played it, and we didn't have a lot of money, so I never changed the strings on my guitar. If one broke, I learned how to play the song around the broken string. That's just how it was. We had no money, so eventually I'd get another string and put it on there, but it'd take a while. So I don't like the sound of new strings. They're too tinny. They jangle around a little bit too much. It's not to my ear. It's what's embedded in my ear is an old set of strings on this cheap acoustic guitar, which is a Fender, but it feels solid when you pick it up. There are some cheap guitars that feel cheap and thin. It's a Fender Gemini 2. You can look it up. You can buy them used for all day. You could buy dozens of them if you want for like $5. But this is just, I love the sound of it. It's absolutely beautiful. I love playing it. I love holding the guitar. I love the way it feels. Everything about it. And I know that's psychological. I know that it's because my uncle gave it to me. It was just a bond that we shared. And he kind of, when he gave that to me, it kind of was more important than it should have been, probably, when I played that guitar. But anyway, it's my favorite thing to play is that acoustic guitar. I love it. And I think that has a lot to do with, when you're looking up to people, or you find a connection with someone who's around you, your family or friends or whatever thing that is becomes a higher importance. And then when someone else puts it down, you get defensive of it, even though it doesn't matter. It's just something they don't like. Like, I know that when we talk about types of music, I was definitely into rock, and rock's so generic, but like, I was an 80s, 90s kid. So hair metal, and then into grunge, and I was huge into grunge for most of my childhood. And I got heavier, but I loved to listen to Pink Floyd. I got into that because of my mother. My mother introduced me to Pink Floyd, and one of my uncles introduced me to that. My father used to listen to that. He didn't like it at that time when I started listening to it. But anyway, it's just a connection I had with them. So I would listen to that music, and it would be that connection. And then Eric Clapton, my mother loved Eric Clapton. I love listening to Eric Clapton play guitar. He's just an amazing blues player and just a wonderful player. I don't know about his personality. I don't even want to know. I've heard some things, and I don't care. Don't tell me about it. I don't want to see any interviews. I don't care about him at all. I just want to hear his music and enjoy it, and just think about the memories that I have with it. And that's just how certain things are for me. But I never got into like the rap and R&B and all that stuff. Now, I'm gonna say something here. And some people on the other side get a little bit upset when I say it, but I think rap and R&B and all that stuff, that's perfectly fine music. I never had a problem with it. I never said I don't think that's music. Of course it's music. There's a rhythm, there's something to get into, there's a groove to feel with it. It's music, and people enjoy it. I just never did. So I'm not saying that it's bad or that it's a terrible thing. I never got into it. Now, my cousin did something. My cousin, at the time, I was very close with my cousin. When I was younger. I was 9 years old before I had a sister. So she was like my sister. I saw her every weekend, and we just hung out all the time, and it was great. But she was into more or less that kind of stuff at that time. And I just never got along with it. It just didn't do anything for me. And jazz didn't really do anything for me either. Now I listen to Jimi Hendrix, and he's like a jazzy rock player, but it's different. He's a different animal all by himself. He just does his own thing. So, but if you look at other guitarists, you say blues guitar. I love listening to blues guitar. B.B. King, I can listen to him all day. But if you go the other side and go like to hard rock, like really hard rock, like angry rock, I used to listen to that stuff too. As a matter of fact, I used to be angry. I'm not angry anymore, so I don't really listen to that stuff anymore. I can listen to it. I can appreciate it, but I don't listen to it because it's not me anymore. I don't have those feelings anymore, and I don't connect with the music anymore. Some of the rock music I do. So I still listen to that stuff. I listen to the grunge still. I listen to some hair metal stuff still. Went to see Guns N' Roses recently. Great concert, by the way. Not as good as Aerosmith. I don't like their music more, but Aerosmith put on a much better show. And Steven Tyler flipping around. There's like this big thing. It's a ramp that goes up behind the drums, and he flips around on a bar and slides down this big slide. And while he's singing, I don't even know if I can tie my shoes while I'm singing, but he do whatever he wants. They put on a heck of a show. So I have strayed very far from where I was. I don't remember. It was role model. Yeah, role model stuff. So then I had my grandfather on my mother's side, who just was my role model for business sense and doing things with kindness in mind, but while you practice business. So what he did was it was between 6 and 9. I don't remember exactly. I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I worked in. He had so many different businesses. I can't even name them all, but I mean, he had everything from a construction company to an arcade to a muffin shop to a jewelry. He sold linens. He sold stuffed animals. All sorts of stuff. So he just had, and not that they had so much money. They would just make enough to live, but then he would sell the business, get some money, and then he'd go start another one. And he just loved to do that. Before he passed, the last thing he did was a food pantry, and he did a nonprofit food pantry, and just helped some people out in the community. Just a wonderful heart and a man, and he was a very big role model for me. But when I was 7, 8 years old, he had the muffin shop, and I would go there on a Saturday. My mother would be going to work, and I would go there, and I would. The first thing I'd do is go into the freezer and start pulling out all the frozen cookies and set them up on the cookie trays and get them ready to cook. And then of course, I didn't put them in the oven, but someone else would put them in the oven, but they'd take out the muffins. And then I'd wait for the muffins to cool, and I'd start scooping them up and taking them out front and filling up the front case with them and make sure they stay full all day and make sure they stay fresh all day and put the new cookies in and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, at the end of the day, he would take a bunch of muffins, like a couple of this one, couple of that one, couple of this one, to give them to me and say, now go home and go around and sell them in your neighborhood. I lived in like a condominium. It was a very low income condominium. There was not a lot of money in that place at all. Most of those people were broke and they didn't have a lot. But I'd walk around and sell muffins, and I'd sell, I had to give him a quarter. So I'd sell them for 50 cents and give him a quarter. But I quickly learned, because he would coach me a little bit and kind of teach me little things, and he'd say, okay, now figure out which ones sell out the quickest, which ones people want the most, and then I'd go ask him and say, hey, can I have a couple extra of those, because those really sell? And then he'd give me a couple extra of those and a couple less of the other ones that didn't sell. And then I'd go around, and of course I wouldn't like try and take people's money like crazy, but I'd go up to like $1 with some of them, but I'd only have to give him a quarter, so I'd make a little extra money because those were in high demand. And I just comprehend everything that was happening. And at the end of the day, of course, my friends from the neighborhood, everybody would just eat everything that was left over. So that was wonderful too. We got a free meal out of it and had some fun. They'd take some home to their mother or whatever. Anyway, point is, I had a lot of people who influenced me in a positive way and put me in the right direction, that understood that I was a young kid who was very impressionable and I was going to be doing things, might as well be doing constructive things. So when it came to sports, I had my grandfather on my mother's side. I also had my stepfather, who was very into sports. So anything I did, he would get the kids in the neighborhood around. We'd do play some baseball, and play kickball, whatever. And it would be fun. I'd just play dodgeball or something like that. It would be fun. He also introduced me a little bit to, my uncle introduced me to martial arts, and my cousin did as well, and then my stepfather saw that I had an interest in it, and he kind of fed that because he did that when he was younger, and introduced me to his old teacher, and that had a lot of positive influences in my life. I'm very grateful for it. That is probably more than anyone has ever wanted to know about me, so we're gonna move on here. I might do one more. Okay, I can't find another one. This is ridiculous. These are the dumbest questions I ever... Instagram or Snapchat? Neither. I don't like any of them. They suck. Facebook or Twitter? They suck. I don't want any of them. Or do you want a laptop or a tablet? These are not questions. I don't understand. How are these starting... Maybe you can start conversations with dumb people with most of these, but I can't find anything else on this. Is it spicy or not spicy? This is ridiculous. This is... Could you imagine you don't know anybody, someone your first time you meet them, you're just talking to them, and you're just like sitting in an elevator talking, just like, So, spicy or not spicy? That's not a thing you start a conversation with. That's not how you start a conversation. These, I don't understand these people. This is driving me nuts here. What's your favorite store? Could you imagine asking someone that question? Oh, what's your favorite store? Most people don't even go to the store anymore. They buy everything online. There's no store to go to. Maybe you can say an online shop, but it doesn't matter. Most people won't even tell you that. What's your favorite player? It's just, you don't even know you didn't even pick a sport yet. It's just, what's your favorite player? It could be anything. It may not even be a sport. What if it's your favorite player in like the local opera or something like that? I don't know. What's an opera person? There's a question. What do you call an opera person? Are they an actor? Are they an actress? Are they a singer? Or what would you call that? What is that person that's in the opera? What are they called? Like, I understand someone in a theater performance is an actor, actress, or a performer, but in the opera, are they? I don't know what that is. That's very confusing to me. If anybody knows what that person is called, who's in the opera, not the main star who sings, not talking about the lady. I'm talking about who's everybody else in an opera. What are they called? Are they just called performers? Is that what they're called? Are they called singers? Are they actors or actresses? Are they just the help? Are they the stand-ins? What are they? What are those people? I think I'll leave you with that thought. How about that? Why don't I just leave you with that right there? So like I said, these are wonderful paints. I really enjoyed them. I will be using them again. I'm so glad that I did. Finally, I can get everybody off my back that I tried them finally. Oh, I still get comments all the time about I should try these and I shouldn't have tried the White Knights. Don't worry about that. They're good paints too. We're talking about the paints, people, the paints. So anyway, these are wonderful. I actually have a harder time getting these than I did the White Knights paints, and that's kind of weird. But I can find a couple of these in the tubes, but not very many. And there's definitely, I mean, the sets are okay. There's a lot of pan sets available. That there are. You can find all different pan sets. But I don't like the colors. I want to pick my own colors. Like this pan set, I don't think it was very great with the colors. There was a lot of colors there, and they're standard palette colors for most people. You had a cool and a warm of the split primaries, all that stuff. But there was no darks in there. There was no real, like, special colors in there. They were just the normal ones. They're the standard colors you find in everything else, which in every other paint set. So unless but they're good. They're wonderful quality, very professional. I understand that. They are great. There's just nothing more fun about them. They're just stand-ins for your main set. If you want to use these as your main paints, you can. They are that good. But there's nothing extra about it. They're just beautiful. They're beautiful colors, beautiful paints, great intensity. They work wonderfully on the page. They're great. I'm not saying anything negative about these. I think everyone, if you were looking for a main paint set, and you're just looking for paint to be paint, then these are them. You can get these and be very happy for a very long time. They're wonderful. I just want the extra. Like, where's the big granulation, or where's the big, different color? I've never seen that color in a set before, or yes, that's the color I wanted in this set. I couldn't find it in my other brand, but I found it in this. There's like none of that stuff. And that's okay. Doesn't mean that they're not good. It's just, that's what I'm saying. There's just something, it's the same. That's what I'm saying. It's the same as a professional great watercolor set, which is nothing to be ashamed of. That's a wonderful set. But all right, so thumbs up the video if you are going to go and find this set, or if you have them and you like them and you think that I'm an idiot that I don't like them more than something else. But that's okay. You can think that way. You're allowed to. That's a wonderful thing. Everybody's allowed to think however they want to think, and that's just how life is. All right, you know the drill. If you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. All right, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one.